Between social media, streaming services, and the internet, it seems like there are seemingly endless ways to entertain ourselves these days. You would think this makes planning the entertainment part of our schedule super easy. Which show am I going to watch? Which sports game am I going to watch? Which video game am I going to play? Or what social media app am I going to open? But I would argue that with all these endless possibilities of entertainment, it's actually doing a lot more harm than good. This idea of fear of missing out or FOMO is becoming a lot more common, and I think that's because we have the opportunity to do so many things, while still having just the same 24 hours in a day as they did generations ago. Ironically enough, I would argue that having the fear of missing out is actually making you miss out. It's just way too overwhelming to try to keep up with all of these different things between social media and sports and movies and video games and streaming TV shows. There's just way too much for us to choose from, and it's just impossible to keep up with all of them. I've been there, and I can tell you that it just leads to nothing but anxiety and missing out on even more. I'd find myself just laying on the couch because I know I can't do all of these things. Like, I can't keep up with all of these different forms of entertainment, and it just leads to wondering why even do any of them. And at the end of the day, so many of these things aren't even important. They're just dopamine hits and ways to get our mind off the reality or the day from work. And it's not bad to do this, but I know for me, it was definitely defeating the purpose of having, a relaxing entertainment session when all I could think about was the things that I was missing out on when I was doing something. Sports are a big example of this for me, and I'll give you a couple examples here. One of them is that I felt the need to watch, say, every NFL game on a Sunday that was on the TV because they only come around on once a week, for only part of the year, and missing out on one would be a huge deal, or maybe I'll miss a big game. And it made watching Sunday NFL football stressful. Instead of just enjoying the game with my wife or my friends and family, I'd find myself checking the scores of all the other games and seeing who scored the latest touchdown. When at the end of the day, I was going to see the big highlights when I would open up social media or watch SportsCenter. There's infinite ways to find out what happens in these big games, and it's like I need to see it live or it just wasn't worth it. The other sports example that I have for you is sports betting. I would say that I was definitely addicted to sports betting at some point, and what started out as just such a fun little hobby for me, just, analyzing games and seeing what I think would happen and if there was a good line or anything like that, turned into me having to scroll through every single game in basketball, baseball, and football so that I didn't miss a good line and a good bet. And it quickly turned into an addiction and just super unhealthy, and it would stress me out. I wouldn't feel good. I mean, I would stay up so late just looking at all these games. I'd even find myself looking at them at work sometime, just being super unproductive because of this fear of missing out. And funny enough, I probably missed the biggest sports moment in any of my team's history that I'll ever see. So Villanova is my favorite college basketball team, and March Madness is probably my favorite tournament in sports. Combine those two things, and back in 2016, Villanova won the national championship. They won the March Madness tournament on a game-winning buzzer beater, and I was asleep. I was asleep because I had a long day at school, and then I had baseball practice, and then I knew the championship game started at 9 o'clock, which was late, and I just couldn't stay up and finish it. And, it was apparently one of the best basketball games of all time. They beat North Carolina on a buzzer beater, and I've seen the clip hundreds of times now, and I missed it live. I even went to school the next morning not knowing who won the game. And here I am, 9 years later, doing okay. And of course I wish I saw it live, but I can tell you just the stress of making sure that I see all these things is way worse than actually missing them. And, in a way, I still think it's good that I didn't see this live because it's a good reminder to me that, with this whole idea of the fear of missing out, thanks to social media and the internet and everything, there's probably not going to be a bigger sports moment I could miss out on, just given the fact that March Madness is my favorite tournament and Villanova is my favorite team in March Madness. So I also want to possibly state the obvious here and say that this fear of missing out could definitely lead to us, missing out on the big things in life like love and time. Having free time is great, and being able to spend it with people that you love is even better. But with so many distractions today between all these things that I've been mentioning, it's easy to, neglect these important things like time and love and just waste our time doing these things because we don't want to miss out on them. When instead we can see the bigger picture and know that when we look back, we're not going to remember how many shows we binge watched. We're not going to remember how many regular season games our sports teams won, but we will remember the people that we watched those games with or watched those shows with. And if you have those important things in your life, then you're definitely not missing out. So if you're on the fence about going to your next family gathering or just spending time with your loved ones, just remember that those shows that you want to binge watch, they'll still be there. the scores of the game will come out, and people are still on the MW2 servers all these years later. I also feel like I should note that, after work, that's the time where a lot of us work on the things that we're trying to grow. Like for me, it's this YouTube channel, and it's going to take sacrifice. There's going to be nights where I can go hang out with friends or go out to eat, but instead I'm going to stay home and I'm going to work on a video. And, in the long run, it's just so much more worth it and so much more fulfilling than instant quick gratitude and the fear of missing out. But yeah, guys, that's just about it. Leave a comment below if you struggle with the fear of missing out or what you've done to overcome it. And, hopefully we can grow and learn from these things together. And yeah, like I said, these important things in our life, like time and love, so much more important than just scrolling one more reel or watching one more episode. But yeah, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.